Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for tuning back in to another YouTube Live episode brought to you by UNCW's Transition Programs. My name is Sabrina Ballin. I'm going to be starting my junior year in the fall. I am from Greensboro, North Carolina, and I'm majoring in Communication Studies with a minor in Leadership.
Hi, my name is Kate Beck. I'm a junior from Wheaton, Illinois. I'm majoring in Public Health with a concentration in Global Health and a minor in Nonprofit Management and Leadership.
Hi everybody, my name is Tara Parker. I'm a senior from Wallace, North Carolina, majoring in elementary education with a concentration in fine arts and a minor in theater, and I transferred from James Brunt Community College.
So on this week's episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about what I wish I knew about college and college myths that we've kind of either busted or proved throughout our experience. But all in all, it's about things that we learned that somebody else couldn't teach us. It was something that we just had to learn going straight into college, throwing ourselves in the mix, and things that really stuck out to us and we took out of it. Some things that I noticed from you guys' intros is that you're a transfer student and you're an out-of-state student. So I imagine that the college experiences was very different, but also similar for the both of you. So if you guys kind of want to speak on that, of just things you learned from being out of state and a transfer student.
Yeah. For me personally, just being out of state was extremely difficult those first 6 weeks. I moved 15 hours away from where I lived back in Illinois. So coming to a university where I knew not a single soul was really challenging. Right away, the challenge of making friends for me just seemed so much harder because I just had the thought that everyone else there had the luxury of being able to drive home if they wanted to. But for me, it was just an opportunity to really just step out of my comfort zone and just basically just go and find ways to make friends.
I myself never really had the fear of missing out on things back at my house because I only lived about 30 to 45 minutes away from UNCW, depending on how the traffic is that day. My fear stemmed more from actually transferring in as a junior. I knew that I would be going into more of my major classes. And so the people in those classes were going to really be the only people that I got to know because I didn't have the luxury of having to take any English classes or math classes that normal freshman students would, because I felt like that was where they were going to make the most friends that aren't necessarily major related. And so I knew that one of the things that I wanted to do as soon as I got to UNCW was to try and stick my foot to every door that I possibly could in order to really secure those close friendships that I could maintain throughout my entire college experience.
Yeah, and I'm sure coming from out of state that, your friend group that you had in high school was on a different schedule than you, and some of them I'm assuming probably stayed in state, right?
A lot of them stayed in state, and I was the first one out of all my friends to leave, so that was really challenging just to see everything going on back at home and knowing that honestly, there was no way for me to easily get back. And so just kind of seeing that all my friends were still together just made those first few weeks even harder.
Yeah. And both of you guys kind of have the common thing of the fear of missing out. And for those of you watching, you may hear us call it FOMO, which stands for fear of missing out. It's kind of like a phenomenon that every college student faces. No matter if you're a transfer or an out-of-state student, I'm in-state traditional four-year student, and I've experienced it. Something I noticed, tying it back into college myth is you guys may have heard of the movie called Neighbors or Neighbors 2. It's a movie about college kids and kind of the social aspect of college. But what's funny about it is not once are they ever in class. No one is studying. I don't think I've seen one book throughout the entire hour and a half movie. But academic schedules are a real thing, and then being different is a real thing. Like you mentioned, coming in, you were already in your major classes, and maybe some of your colleagues were not, on a different track than you. So how does the fear of missing out, how does FOMO play into academic standpoints versus your social life?
Okay. So I myself never really had a fear of missing out whenever it came to studying for my academics because my best friend was always the person who would drag me to the library. So I'd be sitting in my room, she'd drag me there. So I'd always have somebody there with me whenever I was studying for any of my classes, regardless of whether or not we were in the same class. I would be cutting out little shapes for an elementary class while she's studying biology. And though it was so different, at least we were together and we were able to goof off at like 3 a.m. while we were studying. My missing out stemmed more from whenever I had so many things going on at once because I was involved with so many things. I would see maybe my sorority sisters would be watching a movie or hanging out together, going bowling, and I had a basketball game that I had to cheer or dance at that night. And so I'd see on their Snapchats them all having such a fun time, and there I was dancing the night away, and so I felt like I was missing out whenever it came to those opportunities to hang out with my friends. But something that I learned through that was that there's always another opportunity to hang out. You're not gonna miss every single opportunity.
Yeah.
Very similar to that. Mine, I lived in the sorority suites, the Greek housing last year. And so I had 9 roommates and there was always something going on. So just like Tara, just with sorority sisters, I always felt like since they were all going to do fun things, I really wanted to participate in that. But for me, I knew that going to college, getting that degree, staying on top of your academics probably was the most important thing for me. So a lot of times I just had to be an adult and just say no. And so a lot of nights I spent at Randall Library, but you both have as well. And so I did live on the opposite campus from Randall Library, but being in Randall late at night, there's still, it was really easy just to like even run out laptop chargers or phone chargers. There are vending machines in Fisher buildings and places to eat. Even in Randall Library, there's a cafe. So I never felt like I was too stressed out all the time and I was missing out on everything. YouTube, the way it laid out, just helped me unlock.
For sure. So also something that I got from both of you guys' experiences is that you're both Greek, part of social sororities, right? As am I, so that makes all 3 of us Greek. And I think it's interesting, like an interesting concept to hear that even being in Greek life, you still had opportunities where you felt like maybe you were missing out on some things. Because, we come back to the myth that, like, to be in Greek life, like, you have to be in it in order to, like, be completely involved in the school and to make friends. So, like, how did you kind of navigate around fear of missing out while, like, still being in Greek life?
So I knew coming from my 2-year university, there was no clubs, there were no sports. I went to school and I left school immediately. I saw the cafeteria one time, and that was just because the vending machine was broken at my normal place where I get food. And so I knew that coming to UNCW, I wanted to get the most out of my college experience. And so I wanted to live the life that I always saw on TV. And so I thought that one of the ways to make those good friendships would be by joining a sorority. And so I remember the very first time that I told some of my friends, I was like, yeah, I'm thinking about going for recruitment. They would be like, why would you do that? You're not a sorority girl. You're not going to fit in. And it's just not going to be good for you, because they knew that I myself am a very introverted type of person. I like to keep to myself, stay inside, watch a movie. I'd much rather do that than go out and hang out with a bunch of girls till all hours of the night. And so they were like, it's just not going to be good for you. And so that was something that, from hearing them say that, I was nervous about whenever I first joined my sorority. But I found out through being in it that a lot of the girls in my sorority were introverts. And a lot of them liked to take time to just sit back to themselves, stay in their room, just have a quiet time. But then there were plenty of opportunities to catch back up and hang out with them whenever you felt like you wanted some human interaction that day. So there was always plenty of time to go forward, plenty of time to step back and be yourself. And I never had to worry about missing out on the friendships that I could be making if I was out with them instead of staying by myself, because no matter what would happen, the second I'd go out and hang out with them, they'd invite me right into the group. I never missed a beat, and they were always really inclusive.
For me, especially in high school, if you had asked me if I would have joined Greek life, I would have said absolutely not. And a lot of times going into college, people will tell you that you have to join Greek life to at least have some social interaction, make friends, anything. But honestly, to answer you, I don't agree with that one bit. I think there are plenty of opportunities for you to go out and make friends. While each one of us are in a sorority, I didn't meet them through sororities at all. It's actually an on-campus job, and we've grown to have great friendships. So I think that that's just a stigma or belief around Greek life that is absolutely not true. It's only 12% of the student body is Greek, so. But what's great about Greek life that I've had is that it really does expand just your involvement, whether that be intramurals, that is just positions within your sorority, getting to meet other people in different organizations. One of mine that helped me the most was my philanthropy. I started volunteering at a soup kitchen in downtown Wilmington just weekly. Just twice a week I would go in, volunteer, but it just gave me that connection to the greater Wilmington area, not alone, or not only just UNCW, but Wilmington as a whole. So for me in my sorority, I felt like it had been the best opportunity for me within college, just to not only become connected to the campus, but along with Wilmington.
Yeah, for sure. Well, if you guys are just now tuning in, we're talking a little bit about what we wish we knew coming into college, just as freshmen, and Kate and I starting our junior year and Tara starting her senior year, and a little bit about college myths that we've busted or either proved while living our college experience. If you guys have any myths about college that you've thought of or any questions that come to mind when you think of what you wish you knew, we encourage you guys to put those on here and we will answer them for sure if we have time. But going back to what you were talking about, I know you mentioned that really kind of connected you to other things, and you mentioned volunteering at a soup kitchen downtown, which I think is a great showing of how there's things to do, just outside of UNCW's campus, that our location is so great. So, being through experience, and orientation, we talk a lot about UNCW, but what is there to do in the Wilmington area?
Yeah. Obviously, you know that this is known as a beach school. So Wrightsville Beach is only about, I want to say less than 2 miles from here. So just going there under the pier, you can go hammocking with friends. That's really fun to do. There's also a great little downtown there. Surfberry is a perfect stop, just an acai bowl shop right on your way to the beach. That was one of my first things that I did with my friends. We all got in the car, went to Surfberry, and then head to the beach for the day. There's also downtown Wilmington, which is super fun. They have a river walk down there, so if you want to go, it's just gorgeous at sunset to go and take pictures, or they have downtown sundown concert series in the summer. There's also restaurants that pop off of that, which is cool. There's also a bunch of museums downtown that you can go look at, and shops and whatnot. So for me, those are my two areas that I always like to go whenever I have free time.
Yeah.
Two of the areas that I really enjoy going to, one of them is actually Mayfair. It's a little shopping center right off campus. It's not too far away from campus. And there's just a bunch of shops, places to eat. There's also the fantastic movie theater. We have a couple of movie theaters in town, but the one at Mayfair is certainly my favorite. It has reclining seats that lead all the way back so that you can really enjoy yourself at the movie. And there's also Panera Bread in Mayfair. I love Panera Bread. My wallet doesn't love Panera Bread, but I do. And I know that there's also, I'm not sure if it's still there anymore, but there was a cookie dough shop. But if you do want cookie dough, another place that you can go would be to Carolina Beach. A lot of people always talk about Wrightsville Beach, but we do have other beaches that are really close to campus, like Carolina Beach, and it's absolutely beautiful. There's the boardwalk that you can walk down. There's Britt's Donuts, which, if you haven't already heard, you'll hear a lot of people talk about Britt's Donuts when it's time for them to open up, because it is so good. There's also a little Ferris wheel, fun little thing near Carolina Beach. And so it's also just a really nice place to go with some friends, enjoy the beach, take pictures in the lifeguard stand that you're probably not supposed to be in, but I went in anyway. And so there's just lots of photo opportunities if you just want to get your Instagram popping off.
Yeah, I also just from experience learned about the Arboretum, which is a free park that you can go to with a bunch of plants and a lot of koi fish, and it was super fun, and it's something that, they didn't promote a lot, when I went to orientation, just because I guess it was outside of campus, but it was a fun place to go to kind of, leave my schoolwork behind and like have me time. And so that was always a good time.
Early Gardens too.
Yeah, Early Gardens. Yeah, for sure. They do student discounts. I want to swing back to, kind of like about the what I wish I knew to kind of make freshmen feel more comfortable, our incoming freshmen. And I know that something that we learned, because there's so much to cover about UNCW in such a short amount of time, like when you come to orientation, but just some like life hacks that we kind of like learned that made us seem like a little less like freshmen and like really build a home here. So do you guys have any like life hacks that you would kind of like give to our incoming freshmen to maybe make them like more at home here?
I know that one of the things, if you know anything about Wilmington, you know that the weather can change at the drop of a hat.
Mm-hmm.
You could go to class or go to the Fisher or University Union to get some food, and then the next thing you know, it's pouring outside, and you forgot to bring an umbrella. But luckily for you, there is our information desk in the Fisher Student Center, where you can go and you can check out an umbrella for the day. So you don't have to worry about getting soaked to the bone all the way to class, only to as soon as you get to class, the rain stops, because that's always how it goes. It's only raining when you need to be outside.
Yeah.
But UNCW does have umbrellas that you can rent out if you do ever find yourself in one of those situations.
Yeah, that's cool.
One great thing that someone actually did mention to me right when I got here was to buy a waterproof backpack, and that was like what saved me. And my laptop my freshman year, if I didn't have that, it rains a ton, so I highly encourage people to get it. Also, there's a place on campus called Landwich, which for some reason no one knows of. It is a little tucked away in the Seahawks landing, so for me, in my freshman year, I didn't hear about it actually until I want to say second semester, and honestly maybe even then my sophomore year, and I lived right by it the entire time. But once I discovered it, my whole UNCW dining experience changed because it's an awesome sandwich shop.
Yeah, it's tucked away into the Seahawk Landing, and for freshmen that are coming in, the Tri-House area, like Keystone and Innovation House and Cornerstone, and also the Seahawk Crossing. I mean, you're a 2-minute walk away from it. And yeah, I also didn't learn about it until maybe second semester or until sophomore year. And then speaking of renting umbrellas at the information desk in the Fisher Student Center, there's also like phone chargers and like anything you can imagine. Like they do pens, pencils, feminine products, like anything you would need throughout the day. And then I know you guys mentioned a little bit about like eating on campus. Which is like obviously everybody's gonna have to do it like some point while they're freshmen. So you guys have any like tips about that, like how to get around, best places to go?
I would definitely say that when it comes to like 12 in the afternoon, whenever classes are getting out, don't go to Chick-fil-A and the Hawk's Nest, because everybody and their 17th brother is going to be there, especially if you're running a little late on time, like if your lunch break isn't that big. Just try to avoid that at all costs, because literally every person at UNCW will be at the Hawk's Nest at that exact time for some unknown reason. It's like one of the natural phenomenons on campus. Everybody goes there at like 12 o'clock. And so that would be a great time to check out things like Landwich, or even our pod markets. They stand for Provisions on Demand. And they're little on-campus convenience stores where you can go in and get yourself like a sandwich, some chips, and a drink, and you can just sit outside and watch everybody else panic in the Hawk's Nest.
Yeah.
Instead of going and getting in the line yourself.
Yeah, I think that's an awesome point. And I love everything we talked about today, and I feel like we've all shared our similar but different experiences with those of you who are watching or might watch later, or who are coming as out-of-state students or transfer students, which way. Like, I do want to end this with, if you guys had one piece of advice or life hack or a myth that you've busted about college that really stood out to you that you learned from experience, what would you like to share with people who are coming into UNCW?
Get involved and just step out of your comfort zone. It's going to make a world of difference. I mean, I've heard people talk about how grateful they are that they did do it, but I've also heard the opposite side, where people kind of just stayed in their rooms and they didn't really make that much of an effort, just for different reasons. But I promise you, once you go out and either if it is an intramural or a club sport or Greek life or even an on-campus job, the world of difference it will make during whatever year you are coming into. If you are an incoming freshman, if you are a transfer student, it will help you regardless.
And my one piece of advice would definitely be to actually get your bike registered. I know that my mom will probably watch this at some point, so hi mom. She told me the entire time that I came here to get my bike registered, and I never did because I'm lazy. And so it got stolen after my first semester, but thankfully I found it. And you'd think that that would be my clue to go get it registered so that if it got stolen again, I'd be able to find it easily, but I didn't. And so then UNCW does this really fun thing called bike roundups, where if your bike isn't registered, they don't think that anybody here like really owns it or has any close personal ties to it. And so they'll actually repossess your bike and donate it to Boys and Girls Club in Wilmington, I believe. So that happened to me. So I might not have a bike anymore, but at least the Boys and Girls Club has my bike now. But definitely get your bike registered if you actually want to keep your bike.
Yeah. I love that. That's real. That's a real piece of advice. That's experience right there. We want to thank you guys all for tuning in and watching, especially throughout this summer of our YouTube live series. This is actually the last episode of the summer. And it was our first year doing it, so we definitely want to thank you guys for the success that you've given us and for trying us out. And we will see you next time. Thank you again.